It's finally time to look at the photos from the last few trips out. We've got 3 days worth of photos to look at and identify the birds as best we can. Going back to July 17th, back up on top of the mountain before the move, we have a yellow warbler. Now I think this is a willow flycatcher, and we see it again later on, which will help identify. It's really hard at this distance, and the light. We definitely know this one. See it all the time. The tree swallow. The color of the blue. It's actually caught a fresh bug breakfast, which is really neat. Got a couple pictures of it taking off in flight, kind of. Missed the focus a little bit, which it was flying away, so that's a little more difficult to do, but there we go. I got a couple photos here of this one on the tree. Definitely a type of chickadee, but what kind? Well, as it bounces around, hops from place to place, you get to here, and this is where I really was able to identify the black-capped chickadee. Because it doesn't have the white stripe above the eye, it's running right through the head. Here is where I really, first of all, clear, nice, close photo, happy with this. But this one, I think the willow flycatcher. The other types of flycatchers that it could be don't quite have the green to it. They usually have a much brighter white ring around the eye. This one, I think it's the willow flycatcher. And yeah, you can see a little bit more. American robin, a classic. A chipmunk. And I think one of the cutest photos I've ever taken. It's unfortunate you can't really see because of the foliage in front, but these two deer were just like hugging, cuddling. It's cute. And I managed to get a couple of pictures of them. This was standing over the river and looking across. I was on the bridge and seeing the pair of fawn. Still blocked by the foliage, but... And then some roots. Because you got to return to your roots. The next outing would be August the 12th, going to St. Vrain State Park, and actually did something different with a GoPro, chest mounted, and recorded the entire thing as much as the batteries lasted. So there's an entire more to this if you want to see the full experience of walking around, but for now we're just going to look at the photos. We start with the common grackle, pretty sure. I don't think the tail's quite long enough to be the long-tailed version. I think this is just a common grackle. Not the best of photos, a little grainy. It's sun. We don't have, that'll be a theme for today. I spent a while trying to identify this one, and it's got a few different photos here to look at, but it's tough. It's definitely a sparrow of some kind. Maybe it's just the song sparrow. Maybe it's another kind. There's a lot of variations to sparrows, and it's really nitty-gritty to see. I couldn't find anything that really matched with the white over the eye, the full black beak, a little yellow underneath. It doesn't appear to have the spot in the middle of its breast, so sparrow. Red-winged blackbird. That's a common one. I really enjoy the red-winged blackbird, seeing the red. It doesn't have quite as much red to the wing as I've seen before. That was interesting. This is a new one. Took a little bit of research to dig through the books and really identify and nail down. Pretty sure this is the eastern kingbird. It's got the white tip to the tail. It's got kind of a black face that just immediately hard cuts into white. Pretty sure we got the eastern kingbird. You can see it's got a decent length of beak with a little bit of a hook to it too, which is cool. The osprey. This, another new one that we had to dig through to find. It's further away, not the best of photos, even if we zoom in, which doesn't really help much. It's very grainy, again, no sunlight, makes for a much higher ISO. But given the yellow, given the brown, and given the gray, and you can see just a touch of white, I think what we have here is the western kingbird. More of a sparrow that I'm still just not 100%. You can almost see that there's the beginning of a dark on the breast. There's definitely a smidge of something there. So maybe, I don't know. Best guess, it's a sparrow. It's cool. I like these photos, especially this one. This one I think came out really clear. I think we got just a touch of sunlight for that. That's why it kind of brightened up with a bit more yellow. I like it. Yeah. Yeah. Look at the claws on that thing. Even in some of these photos, like the last one and this one, you see a bit more light on the underneath part of the beak. No idea. That one's pretty easy. I've seen these for a while. They're an invasive species, so they're all over the place. Saw this all the way back in Georgia. The European starling. White speckled all the body. There's a wide variety of what colors they can be. Sometimes they're a very purple, almost iridescent purple. Did I say purple twice? A pelican. This really helped me identify it's the eastern kingbird. It's gotta be. I don't see anything else. It really stumped me. I was looking at this photo for a while going, well, it's really not that brown, but it does have the white on the tail and the beak and the white body, and I just can't. And then I went one over and realized, oh, okay, yeah, there was some foliage in the way that helped it kind of appear more brown. It's definitely the darker gray that it should be. That is, without a doubt, eastern kingbird. Pretty sure. And you almost think that this is the same thing, but no white on the tips of the tail, a lot more brown to it, but it still has some white and gray. Gray, maybe? I think the gray flycatcher. Flycatchers are tough too. As it turns out, there's a lot of variation to these, but I think it's the gray flycatcher, which is another new one. We haven't seen this before. And that's interesting. Here you can see another one. All these photos, here we'll go back. We got a couple of them. Black beak, black beak, black beak. You still don't really see it. And then as soon as it turns, it's all of a sudden yellow underneath. Cool. The Eurasian collared dove. Thought it was a mourning dove years ago until I went home and researched it. And I'm pretty sure talked about this on the day with the recording on the GoPro when I took these photos. And there they are in a tree. Oh, there's a pair of them. I like this. I think something about the gray. It's too bad the sky isn't blue, but hey, it all kind of, it works. I like this. And now for some osprey. Slightly out of focus on the first one, but we get better, and that one actually came out a little better. It was doing some preening for a little while. More of that. You can really see that eye on that one. And then you really want to talk about some nice clear photo. I'm happy with this. This is some good. Look at the hook to the beak, the feathers and everything. After it moved, I got a little bit closer and we're able to take some pictures. Beak open, kind of framed it within the tree best I could because it was being blocked. Happy with that for sure. And then it went back to preening. Still, I never really thought about it until I started bird watching a lot more. Whenever you see a bird use its feet to scratch its head, it's the funniest thing to me. Okay, you want to talk about something funny though? I've seen the osprey do this twice now, where they do this head thing where they go back and forth to the side, and apparently I managed to catch a photo of it while it was just all the way over to one side. It just cracks me up. We moved on from there and we saw some mallards in the water. A little bit closer before they got spooked and then went into the water and started swimming away. Unintended, but I like the way this one came out. I like the colors. Peeking through the trees a little bit, some more of the pelican. Still, always just a little surprised whenever I see pelicans around water in the middle of the country. Wyoming and Colorado is not where I would have guessed to see pelicans. But there they are. Yeah, and the wingspan on these, when they get ready to take off, it's just impressive. They are some big birds. There you go, just a conversation between two pelicans. Oh, look, you even get that one doing a little bit of a beak scratch with its back leg. We had another one of the kingbird here, I'm pretty sure. Got that white tips of the tail that really kind of sets it off for me. Here we have cormorant. We've seen the cormorant before, double-crested cormorant. But I've not seen one doing this, where it's just all stretched out like that, and it maintained that for quite a while. It just wanted to stand there and fully stretch out. I've not seen a cormorant do that before. I assume it's getting some sun, it's trying to maybe dry itself off. I'm not entirely sure, but it could very well be a mating thing. It could be showing off, although the other birds didn't seem too interested, but it was doing its thing. Some more pelicans there in the water. And then more of the cormorant, like I said, just wings stretched out. Looking back and forth, wings stretched out. A frog. And a nice landscape, I think. Got some interesting colors between the light coming through the clouds a little bit, reflection off the water. I kind of like this. I played around a little bit more with the water. This was a cool spot right there. This was actually over a bridge where the water went through a pipe that was there, one of those large ones so that the river can flow. Creek, probably more accurate, but surrounded by bugs. You could see them all over the place, and there were swallows dive bombing them constantly. I don't actually see any in this photo, but they were all over. I thought this was interesting. Just an old house farm building of some kind right next to the park. Did it a little bit differently. Try to do a couple different things with the framing. I've got some flower here. I think that's nice. It's very prickly. Look at that. Got a little bit closer. And we came upon a spot which I always thought was interesting, just completely still water, and then they put in a break there. I think it's man-made, and then you get a little bit of the rapids and everything, but just that like sheet, that pure, unbroken sheet of water before it hits the falls. And then over from the other side, you can see the falls a bit. Sunflowers, that's nice. And more of the water. I like the mountains in the background here. That wraps it up for St. Vrain. There's just one more day. It was more recent. On the 26th, went out to Boulder to visit some of the ponds there that are listed on the Audubon's website. Pretty cloudy day. Not too much came out from this day, but still something to look at. No idea what these are, but pretty cool to see them in flight. A flock. Like I said, no sun, very much cloudy, means that these pictures come out real grainy, even as far as I can push them in post-production, to the point where, I mean, if I fully smoothed it out, it would look too smooth. But the kingfisher. Belted kingfisher. Really glad we got to see this, and actually went back more recently. A heron landing in a tree. I've seen this only one other time all the way back in Georgia. Usually they are on the ground because that is where the food is, standing in the water. But heron landed in the tree. We got some more osprey. Pretty cool that they have a nest here. And they've actually built them a platform or two so that they give them an area to nest in this park. It's pretty far away. I did the best I could with the zoom. Saw a deer. Another white-tailed deer while it was out doing some chewing. American goldfinch. You can tell with the black on the head. This is one I've seen before, but always pretty. I think this is another black cap chickadee, considering it's got the black cap to it. Some geese on the island. I kind of like this one. My focus actually was not on the geese as far as the camera. It was more on the rocks. Just look at the color gradient of all the various rocks leading up. And then you get the green in the background, the yellow from the foliage of some kind with the geese there. It's kind of cool. Actually really happy with this one. It's not ideal in any traditional sense. Being directly under the bird doesn't make for a very good photo. We're looking almost straight up, breaking the back to get the camera lifted all the way up there and holding it steady. But I really like the way that you can see a bit of the red. This is the northern flicker. Definitely have seen this before. First time in Wyoming, where you just see the red shaft to it, and even seeing some of the golden ones as well. But seeing this and then the bright red on the face, very happy with this. Some more of the heron. Very cool. Something I'd never noticed before. I've seen plenty of herons, but never very close, and certainly not in such detail. I didn't notice that they have a little bit of webbing to their feet. That was something I learned while editing this. There's something about a theme to this when I see a very pretty reflection with the clouds and you get the sun just coming through. It's still early in the morning, so there's a lot of yellow to it, and you get the reflection. I think it's cool. And that's it. Now we are all caught up from the previous backlog of still photos that had not yet been touched in any way, just kind of thrown in the videos. Saw some new stuff. Decided I'm going to redo the website as far as it's getting a bit unwieldy to just have one single page of all the birds I've seen, so I'm going to break it up. That requires a lot of work, so I haven't gotten to that yet at any point, but eventually I'll start working through that, and then these new photos will go up. Of course, every time I go out on a weekend, I just add more to the backlog, so